Hello, friends. Welcome back. It is January 25th. I don't know how the month has gone by so fast. I cannot believe how quickly 2024 is escaping from us. But time is flying. I hope we're all having fun. But volatility season is here, my friends, and the fire sale in Southeast Florida is underway. Or is it? Let's do a deep dive into that because I got a phone call from a friend yesterday who I must disclose. I really like this person. He is an absolute all-star human being. He is a tremendous real estate professional. And one of the things that I admire about him the most is that he is a numbers guy. And he used to be a CPA. This guy understands numbers and metrics and profit and loss statements probably better than anybody else I know, besides my sister, who is also a CPA, and my father, who is also an accountant. And now that I'm thinking about it, I realize I know quite a few CPAs and quite a few accountants. And many of my very close friends are partners at some of the biggest accounting firms in the world. And I'm obviously not sharing that to brag about my friends being accountants. It just occurred to me that one of the things I admire in people is their ability to analyze data and crunch numbers. And I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I am not an attorney. There are plenty of things I'm not, but I absolutely admire when someone else crunches numbers better than me. And I'm always impressed by anybody who can analyze data better than me. And while I'm certainly not a novice or a rookie, and I'm certainly very experienced in crunching numbers and analyzing data, and I did that for 20 years when I was a stockbroker, honestly, it wasn't something that came naturally to me. It was something that I had to learn. It was something I had to work really hard at to understand and internalize and turn into one of the lenses that I look at life from. Because there are other folks out there who can naturally see things in real time and analyze data instantly. And while I don't know either of them personally, I suspect Albert Einstein and I suspect Elon Musk are probably two of the top prime examples of folks that could do that instantly. But my friend, who I was speaking to last night, who again is a real estate professional, that I admire, that I respect, and that I thought had an analytical view of the market that was impressive, proceeded to tell me the most insane story of valuation that I've ever heard. And while I'm sure there's a younger version of me that would have been quite more aggressive and direct in my response to his analysis, I didn't do that because I wanted to learn more, but I asked him some more questions because I thought he was messing with me. I thought he was joking around. And when I realized that he was not joking and was completely serious, I wondered if perhaps he was on the pipe. Because the analysis that he was sharing with me sounded like it was from Pookie the Crackhead. And if you don't catch the Pookie reference, then please go back and check out New Jack City from way back in the day, because that movie is awesome and Pookie is legendary. And yo, Chuck, they must be on the pipe, right? Well, they must be if they believe what my friend was telling me. And if you caught my Public Enemy reference, then please leave a comment down below and tell me you don't believe the hype, because I surely don't. And I'm confused and concerned because I suspect there are lots of folks out there that do believe the hype. And I hope my message is coming across loud and clear because I got a new microphone. I love it. And I suspect the audio quality is going to be better moving forward. But I'm even more excited about the new camera that I'm getting. But I digress. That'll be here soon. So please subscribe to the channel and you won't miss any of my upcoming brand new and improved content. And while the quality of the video and the audio may be better, my message will remain exactly the same. I will continue to share the truth. But my friend proceeded to tell me his truth, and he proceeded to share with me his analytical opinion of what the market is doing right now in Southeast Florida. And as I mentioned, he was an accountant. He comes from an accounting background and he works with lots of investors. And he's built quite a name for himself in the Airbnb VBRO space. He is really good at analyzing trends in that space, in my market. But every real estate investor knows you make money on a real estate investment when you buy, not when you sell. And evidently my other iPhone agrees, which is why it went ding ding. Because that's the fact. You make money when you buy real estate at the right price when you're investing in real estate. But having been a stockbroker for damn near 20 years, I also know when the market is at an all-time high. And I did a video the other day showcasing that the S&P and the Dow just set record all-time highs. And I read your comments, and you are correct. There is no direct relationship between what the real estate market does and what the financial markets do. But I don't exactly think it takes a rocket scientist, analyst, CPA, or proctologist to diagnose the fact that if the financial markets are at a record all-time high, then it's probably not a large leap to also understand that other markets like real estate and housing are very likely trading at record all-time highs too. Which, to be clear, does not mean that the market's going to get decimated and get cut in half tomorrow. And it also does not mean that in the future, long term, that whatever the record all-time high is today won't be smashed at some point in the future, but it very likely means there is going to be massive volatility and massive profit taking and massive risk that is taken out of the markets. And shout out to my good friend Jared Jones, because he said it pretty eloquently. They are flat out lying to you about the housing market. And when I was speaking to my friend who I know and I like and I trust, I didn't think he was lying to me. He actually believes what he's telling me. But he proceeded to give me the bull argument, the bullish case, the most optimistic projections for real estate, home values, and rent predictions that I've ever heard. Because he truly believes that the Florida markets are going to skyrocket higher and that investors will be able to command significant premiums for rental income, short and long term, forever. And while he may believe that to be true, I do not. Because the numbers don't lie. And if you're familiar with South Florida at all, and you've ever gone down to Miami or you've ever gone down to watch a Florida Panthers game, well, chances are you've driven down the Sawgrass Expressway, and chances are you've driven past the massive warehouse for City Furniture. But City Furniture announced Monday that it laid off 1.5% of its workforce due to ongoing economic challenges over the last several months. And City Furniture is exactly what you think it is. It's a furniture store, which is based in Florida and sells home, office, and other furnishings statewide. And while for now they're only letting go of 1.5% of their workforce, and they employ 2,600 people statewide, they're reducing their operating costs for a reason, and it reflects the current level of demand for furniture. And while I'm certainly not an analyst and I'm certainly no economist, I wonder if a question that might be a leading indicator, a question that someone who is prudent, responsible, and curious about what's happening right now might ask is, if demand for home furniture has fallen off a cliff sufficient enough for companies that make home furniture to lay off employees, I wonder if that also means demand for homes is also no bueno. But rather than wonder, I'll just Google it. And when I went to Google to ask that question, what I found was Google is laying off several hundred jobs across the company. And Amazon is going to reduce its workforce by 35% this year. And it only gets worse from there, because Universal Music Group is laying off hundreds of employees, Citigroup eliminated 20,000 jobs, Disney's Pixar is cutting 20% of its staff, Discord eliminated 17% of its employees, BlackRock is laying off 3% of its global workforce, And NBC News, the most trusted name in news according to nobody, is also laying off dozens of employees. And when people don't have jobs, they typically don't pay their mortgages. And when people don't pay their mortgages, they typically get evicted or foreclosed on. And when foreclosures and or evictions happen and people stop paying their bills, well then the markets crash. But my friend, who is so convinced that the market is only going to go in one direction and will only trade higher, and my friend who is advising his clients and his investors that buying right now is the right thing to do for everyone, I know that's not true. Because for some, renting is actually a lot cheaper. And let me be abundantly clear, buyers in Florida vary radically. And the prices and markets in different areas of Florida are radically different. So anyone with money who can afford to do whatever they want and has job security and savings and really no financial fears moving forward, well, they don't need to worry about much. But for folks who can barely afford their mortgage payment right now or who are squeezing into a mortgage because of the fear of missing out, those folks could be in real trouble if they're buying at the top of the market. And many of those folks could probably save themselves a lot of money by renting rather than buying. Because according to the data provided by the SnapForce app, and shout out to RJ Talks because he's done some brilliant work with this app, but in many Florida metros, it is a lot cheaper to rent rather than buy. And shout out to my friends Kevin and Michelle up in Destin. But in Destin, you're very likely to save $2,700 by renting rather than buying. Because that's the spread between the buying cost and the rental cost per month. And the same holds true in Port St. Lucie, where you're likely to save $1,000 renting over buying, because the spread is $1,000. And Naples, Marco Island Metro, same thing. The spread between buying versus renting is in a renter's favor, and they're likely to save $1,200 by renting over the monthly cost of buying when you add in all the things like mortgage, property tax, insurance, and various other costs. But it's interesting, the spread shrinks pretty thin when you get into my market. And let me be very clear, the data that is being shared here in this app was sourced by Zillow, and it's old. It's going back using October 2023 data. So I know these numbers are not accurate, but they're close enough to give you some contextual perspective. But the spread in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Palm Beach County Metro, the spread between renting and buying is in a renter's favor by $646 because the monthly payment for a rental, according to this app, is $27.96. And the cost of buying for a mortgage per month with mortgage, property tax, and insurance as of October 2023 was $3,442.91. And while that definitely gives you some perspective, and it certainly indicates that the spread in my market between renting and buying is slimmer than other parts of Florida, I also know that mortgage interest rates have skyrocketed since then. So there's very likely a bigger spread in a renter's favor. And while those numbers may seem distorted here in Florida, you've got to see what California looks like, because in many of these markets, and I'm looking at San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara County, the rental cost versus the buying cost, the spread, the difference is massive. And as per SnapForce, using the data that I've already mentioned, the difference between renting and buying, a renter will save $7,000 per month in that market, renting versus buying. But there is no right or wrong, it's only what is right for you. But make no mistake, 2024 is going to fly by, and the fire sale in Southeast Florida is definitely going to come. And while many of them are going to flat out lie to you about the housing market, I am not one of them. And if I can help in any way, please reach out, click the link up above, or embed it at the end of this video, and we will connect right away.